therefore बहुत ही टाइम नहीं मिलता है जॉब करना, फिर उसके बाद पढ़ना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है। Eagerly women form to their open sites. Years around when we try to reconstruct the evidence for the pattern for of resistance. One way of doing this is by the plotting distribution of artifact. For example, thousands of flat tools and an axis have been exhibited at Kilombe and Oloro. Yes, light canal. This finds a date between 7 7 lakh to 5 lakh years ago. How these two accumulate in one place. It is possible that some place where food resources were abounded were visibly rapidly. In such area, people tend to leave behind a trace of their activity and presence, include artifacts. The deposit of artifacts could appear as a patches on the landscape. The place that were less frequently visited would have been fewer artifacts. So which way so so which may have been scattered over the surface. And it is also important to remember that the same location could have been shared by hominids, other primates, and carnivores. Look at the diagram below, see how this may have worked. And between जो भाई हेलो हेलो ट्री ऑफ लाइफ नो ब्रो नो ट्री ऑफ लाइफ नहीं है ये बिगिनिंग मोमेंट्स जो है उसका है का एक जर्नी स्टार्ट की गई है फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द टाइम्स जो भी लाइफ में पढ़ना चाहता है वो आके ज्वाइन करे और लाइव पढ़े लाइव पढ़ना है तो आके ज्वाइन करे और लाइव पढ़े between 4 lakhs and 1.5 lakhs year caps and open air sites begin to be used. Evidence for this comes from sites in Europe. In this larger caps in the southern France and at the 12 kilometers, so shelters was built against the caps wall. Inside it there are two hearts, evidence of different food source, fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, buds, eggs, and freshwater fish, trout, fish, and carp. Bird eggs and the freshwater fish normally is and all at another side, Terra Amata on the coast of the southern France, when shelters with the roof of the wood and grasses were built for the short-term season visit. Pieces, pieces of the back clay and the bone along with the stone stools that between 1.4 and 1 million years ago have been found at Zak, Kenya and Smart South Africa, where these are the result of uh, natural bushfire or or volcanic eruption or where there is a body through the control nuclear fire. We do not really know. Earth, on the other hand, we are incapable of the controllable use of fire. This had several advantages. Fire provides the warmth and light inside the caps and could use cooking and suicide. Fire was used to the harden wood and for the instance of the tip of the spear. The use of the heat also facilitates and the flattening of the tools and is potent fire to reduce the scare away the dangerous animals. Even major tools. To start with, it is a useful to remember that their use of the tools and the toolmaking are not confined of the confined to human gods are known to make the object to assist them with feeling, hygiene and the social encounter and the real bargaining for the food. Sometimes use the tools they have made. However, there are some features of the human toolmaking that are not known among the adult. There have been seen certain anatomical and neurological related system adaptation have been made to the skill use of hand, probably due to the important role of the tools of human lives. Moreover, the way in which the human use and make the tools often require more complex organizational skill both of which are absent in the apps. The earliest evidence of the making and use of the stone tools comes from the site of Ethiopia and Kenya. It is likely that the earliest stone makers were Australopithecus. As in the case of other activities, we do not know whether tools making was done by men and women or both. It is possible that the stone tools makes were both women and men. Women in particularly may have made and used tools obtain food for themselves as well as to sustain their children after the weaning. About 20 years ago, improvement in the technique for the killing animals and evident from the appearance of new kinds of the tools such as the appear boars and the bow and arrow. The means thrust obtained was the probably proceed the removing of the bones followed by the dying smoke and storage. Thus, food could be stored and later consumption. There were other changes such as the trapping of for the clearing animals for the food and the invention of the sewing needle. The earliest evidence of the sewing clothing comes from about 21,000 years ago. Besides then, the introduction of the punch blade and techniques to make the small tools feel like the tools. It was no the possible to make the engraving on the bronze and altars more of mode of communication language that among the living beings in the humans alone that have language, there are several views of language development. The movement language involves the gesture, which is the hand movement, text, spoken language as predicted by the vocal but non several complications as the singing of hunting, humming. That the human speech probably began with calls like ones that have been absorbed among the primate humans may have been caused a small number of the speech sounds sounds humans may have been causing a small mm, the humans speak the probability and the main have been causing a small number of distinct sound and initial stage. Gradually, this may have been developed and into the language. Because spoken language emerged, it has been suggested that brain of the Homo habilis had a certain feature which would have made it possible for them to speak. First language may have been developed nearly 2 million years ago. The evolution of the local tract was 12 important. This occurred around 2 million years ago. It is the more specific with the modern humans. The third suggestion that language developed around the same time as the art, that is around the 40,000 to 35,000 years ago. The development of the spoken language has been closely connected with art and for the media for the communications. Hunter and painting the animals done between 2012 2000 have been discovered and described. Why were painting at the animals but never humans? Why were the animal painted into the section of the caps where the sound is carried well? Several explanations have been offered. One of one is that because of the importance of the hunting, the painting of the animals were associated with ritual and magic. The act of painting could have been ritual to ensure the successful hunt. Another explanation offered that caps was well meeting place for the small group of the people location for good activities. This group could share the hunting technique and knowledge. While the painting and grabbing served as the media for the passing information one generation to next. The above account society has been based on the archaeological evidence. There is much that we still do not know. As I mentioned at the beginning of this chapter, hunter-gatherer society is even today. We can learn anything about the past society from the present hunter-gatherer. This is question we will address in the next section. The following account by the member of the African Pastorals group about the initial contact at the 70 with the Pongtang and hunter-gatherer society living in the Kalahari Desert. When we first came into this area, all we saw were strength and footprint in the sand. We ordered that kind of the people this soon where they were very aware to us and would hide it even where we came around and we found there the village. But they were always prepared because as soon as they saw the stranger coming, they would scatter and hide the bush. We said, oh, this is the good. These people are aware of us. They are weak and we can easily move even them. So we just moved them and there was no killing or fighting. We'll read more about the encounter with the hunting together than page 10. भाई नींद बहुत आ रहा है यार सुबह सुबह देखो मेरा भाई सोया हुआ है कूलर चल रहा है नींद बहुत आ रहा है लेकिन क्या करें कुछ करना है तो कुछ पाना है तो कुछ खोना तो पड़ेगा मेरा भाई hunter gather society from the present up to the past भाई कुछ पाने के लिए कुछ खोना पड़ता है ठीक कुछ पाने के लिए खोने के लिए हमें जगना पड़ रहा है जग रहे हैं पढ़ रहे हैं आज नहीं तो कल नाम होना ही है भाई कोई भी कर तैयारी पढ़ना तो जरूरी है as you knowledge of the present the hunter gatherer increased so the study by the archaeology anthropology and a question at the beginning of the post was whether the information about the living hunters and gatherers could be used to understand past society. Currently, there are two opposite views of this issue. One side of the earth is scholar who have direct applied or specific data from the present day hunter-gatherer society to interpret the archaeological remains of the past. For example, some archaeological have suggested the hominoid sites dated millions of years ago along the margin of the lake of the Turkana could have been dry season camp of the early humans because such of the practice has been observed among the artisan and the Pujan. On the other side, the scholar who feel that the anthropographic data cannot be used for the understanding the past society as to the are totally different. For the instance, present the hunter-gatherer society today is several other economical activity along with the hunter-gatherers. These included in gas exchange and trade, minor forest or working as a paid laborers in the field, night boy, farmers. Moreover, this society are total merchant of graphically, politically, and socially, the condition in which they level the. Thank you. The condition which they are very different from those of the real countries. Another problem is that there is a trend civilization among the living hunter-gatherer society. There are conflicting data on many issues such as the relative importance of the hunting and gathering size of or the movement from place to place. Also, there are little concessions regarding the reason of the leaf or in the food. Even the food procurements also the generally women and the others and men hunt. There are society where both women and men hunt and men and the other make a to the important role of the women contribute to the food supply, so society cannot be denied. It is perhaps this factor that are related equal role for the both women and men within the hunter-gatherer society. Although there are the relationships, maybe it is difficult to make such a defense for the past. Epilogos. For the several millions in human lived in the hunt wild animals, whether the wild plants and other than however and ago, people different part of the world on the domestic certain plant and animals which lead to the development of the farming and the pastoral life shift from the foreign farming way. Is a turning point in the human history. Why this changes take a place place at this point at time. The last ice age came in the 30 years ago, and with the warmer weather and conditions and prevalent as the result conditions were the favorable for the growth of the grass and such as the wheat, barley and wheat. Same time the open forest and the grassland expanded and the population of the certain animal species such as the wild sheep, goat, cattle, pigs and increased. What do you find that human society began to gradually prefer areas that had the abundance of the wild grasses and animals. Now due to large permanent complicated occupied such as the area for most part of the year, in some area remains regularly preferred for most part of the year, so the same areas being clearly preferred. A placer make have the build to increase the pool of supply. May have implicated in the process of the domestication of the certain plants and animals. It is the likely that the combination of the factors which included climate change, population pressures, and great lands on the knowledge for a new species of the plants such as the wheat, barley, rice, milk, and the animals such as the sheep, goat, cattle, stock, and played a role in the transformation. On such an area where the farming and pastoralism around 10,000 years ago was the fertile and crescent extending from the Mediterranean coast and Jaguaros and with the introduction of the agriculture more people began to stay on the one place for the even longer period than they had done before. Thus the permanent house began to build mud brick limestone. These are some of the earliest villages known as the archaeologists. Farming and pastorism led to the introduction of many other changes such as the making the pots and using the stone planes and other tools and cook the food inside the wood and the stone Other new techniques such as the plug and where used agriculture gradually the people become a farmer with the metals and copper and mineral important for the both pot making and the transportation came into the use. 5,000 years ago, the large concentration of the people living in the bigger cities. Why did that happen and the weight are the difference between the city and other settlements? Look out of the for answer of this other question carefully. This chapter traced the beginning of the human existence. It was the 5.6 million years ago became the first human life created appeared in the early surface. After this, several forms of the human emerged and the became insignificant. Human beings resembling us originated about 1.6 years ago. Human beings resembling us the, us originated about 1.6 years ago. During this long period of the human history, this is often seen by the as scary hunting animals, gathering plants, procedure, and they also learn about the stone and communicated each other. अब की बात कर रहे हैं 1.6 मिलियन ईयर्स बिफोर 1.6 मिलियन ईयर्स तो बात कर रहे हैं 5.6 मिलियन 5.6 million years before. All through the others we have to also the topic hunting and we are continuing to hear the hunter gatherers deciding some part of the world which make up the hunter weather and the lifestyle of the particular hunter gatherers and tell us anything about the past. The discovery of the human fossils plant animals, बहुत नींद आ रहा है, चल रहे हैं अब हम सोने, नींद बहुत आ रहा है।